There are so many promising games on the way that it's hard to keep track of everything. With every new trailer, it feels like the next few years will be an avalanche of incredible worlds, insane combat, and ideas that could change everything we know about gaming. This list is for those who already want to know what's coming, the most insane and ambitious titles set to arrive between 2025 and 2026. Before we dive in, give us that support and subscribe to the channel. We're growing more and more each day, and every new subscriber helps keep this project alive, bringing you more discoveries, lists, and recommendations. And don't forget to drop a comment. Which of these upcoming releases has you the most hyped? Now let's jump into the first game. Rules of engagement. The Gray State is tactical warfare with the soul of a nightmare. You step into the role of an agent sent to an unstable dimension where supernatural creatures and echoes of war intertwine. It's an extraction game that turns every mission into a balance between greed and survival. Leaving early ensures safety. Staying longer can bring greater rewards or kill you outright. Tension is constant and risk never fades. The gameplay blends military strategy with psychological horror. Combat is tactical, paced, and every bullet matters. Shooting isn't enough. You need to think, move precisely, and know when to retreat. Environments shift unpredictably, and the enemy is never the same. It's the kind of game that forces you to observe before acting, because any mistake could be your last. The atmosphere is suffocating, with ruined landscapes and the constant sense that something is watching. Distant noises, echoing footsteps, and the silence between fights create a state of paranoia. It's a mix of war and horror, where the enemy could be hidden in the fog or inside your head. Everything feels designed to keep you on edge from start to finish. Rules of Engagement promises to redefine extraction shooters with its combination of strategy and fear, a game where courage and intelligence are worth more than ammunition. If it delivers what the trailers show, it could easily become one of the most intense and original projects of 2025, the kind of title that punishes recklessness and rewards survival. Beneath is the kind of horror that doesn't let you breathe. You take on the role of a diver trapped in a destroyed underwater facility, surrounded by twisted creatures and echoes of human madness. Every flooded corridor feels alive, and the ocean's darkness turns even the drip of a pipe into pure panic. It's a story of isolation, fear, and what happens when the mind begins to sink along with the body. The gameplay blends psychological horror with direct, brutal combat. You need to balance resource management, environmental exploration, and facing monsters that look ripped straight from nightmares. Water physics influence everything. Movement is heavy, sluggish, and every mistake is punished mercilessly. Weapons are improvised and fighting is always the last resort. The terror comes as much from tension as from the constant sense of vulnerability. The claustrophobic design makes every section of the base a challenge. Limited lighting, muffled sounds, and the silence between scares create real fear without cheap tricks. It's the kind of game that makes you question every noise and hesitate before opening a door. The atmosphere is suffocating and inescapable, built to keep you on constant edge. Beneath promises to be one of the most intense survival horrors of this new wave. It mixes the fear of the unknown with the physical dread of being trapped at the bottom of the sea. A game about endurance, despair, and the fragile line between sanity and madness. If it plays as shown, it will be one of the most oppressive and unmissable titles of the next few years. NORSE Oath of Blood is brutality, honor, and vengeance forged into a game. The story puts you in the role of a Viking warrior who witnesses his village's destruction and sets out in search of justice in a world where even the gods seem to have abandoned mortals. It's a heavy narrative filled with dilemmas and difficult decisions, where every choice carries weight. Nothing is glorified. War here is raw, dirty, and scarred. The gameplay combines strategy and ferocity with precision. Battles unfold in turns, but every move feels urgent and decisive. You command a clan, manage resources, and determine the fate of each conquered village. Combat demands calculation and composure, and mistakes are not forgiven. More than fighting, you need to think like a leader, balancing honor, survival, and the cost of vengeance. The world is frozen and hostile, with battlefields covered in snow, villages burning, and a climate that seems to conspire against every step. The setting is realistic and melancholic, conveying loneliness and despair. There are no flawless heroes here, only people trying to survive through war and hunger. Everything feels alive, fragile, and desperately human. NORSE Oath of Blood promises to be one of the most intense tactical RPGs on the horizon, a game that merges emotional weight, strategy, and ferocity into one narrative. It doesn't want to entertain, it wants you to feel the burden of leadership and the price of violence. A title for those seeking something raw, real, and profoundly impactful. Welcome to Brightville is a dystopia with the soul of a dream, and the mind of a nightmare. You play as a conscious automaton, the only mechanical being with free will in a city ruled by corrupt mages and machines. The place is a maze of lights, secrets, and control, where every decision shifts the balance between freedom and oppression. It's a world glowing on the surface but rotten at its core. The gameplay gives you total freedom to act as you wish. You can charge head-on, infiltrate through the shadows, or manipulate the environment to twist chaos in your favor. Skills combine magic, technology, and ingenuity, creating unpredictable systems of combat and exploration. Each choice alters the city and its inhabitants, making the world a living organism that reacts to your actions. Brightville feels alive, full of contrast between luxury and decay, logic and madness. There's beauty in the colors, but despair in the details. The game wants you to get lost, to experiment, to feel the weight of tampering with a system that doesn't want to be fixed. It's the kind of setting that makes you observe before acting, because every step could change everything. Welcome to Brightville is both ambitious and intriguing, a title that blends the creative chaos of Dishonored with the mystery of BioShock while holding its own identity. It promises to be more than just an action game, an interactive journey about power, awareness, and control, a world where even machines have souls, and you must decide what to do with yours. Project Motor Racing is the return of the true racing simulator. No microtransactions, no distractions, just speed and precision. The project marks Ian Bell's comeback to the roots with the promise of restoring the realism lost in recent years. With more than 70 licensed cars and nearly 30 tracks recreated in absurd detail, everything is designed for those who find joy in mastering corners, timing, and technique. It's pure competition, built for those who live for the track. The gameplay is straightforward and uncompromising. Each car has its own personality, weight, and behavior, demanding complete control behind the wheel. Physics have been rebuilt from scratch, and weather changes in real time, making every race unpredictable. Artificial intelligence learns from your mistakes, adapting to challenge you lap after lap. It's a game that doesn't forgive, but rewards those with the patience to master control. The sense of realism is what impresses most. Engine roars, tire wear, and even track vibrations are part of the immersion. There are no shortcuts, no unfair advantages, only you, the car, and the chase for every fraction of a second. It's the kind of game that makes your heart beat in sync with the engine, where every victory feels truly earned. Project Motor Racing arrives to remind us what real driving is, a simulator made for those who love the challenge and crave the weight of competition. It doesn't try to reinvent the genre, it purifies it. A title that promises to return respect, technique, and emotion to virtual motorsport. Aniimo wants to reinvent creature-capturing games, leaving behind the idea of simply collecting little monsters. In this vibrant living world, every being you encounter can merge with your character, creating unique forms and unpredictable abilities. The twining system is the heart of the game. It turns every battle into something dynamic, where strategy and adaptation determine survival. Everything feels designed to keep you curious, testing fusions and uncovering new possibilities. The gameplay focuses on real-time combat with impact and fluidity. Instead of turns or slow commands, you fight with complete freedom, switching between strikes, spells, and transformations. Each fusion unlocks fresh ways to attack and move, turning every encounter into a show of energy and creativity. It's the kind of system that rewards experimentation and mastery, with every victory feeling hard-earned. The world is vast and colorful, but there's a sense of mystery woven into each biome. Exploration feels essential, and the promise of legendary creatures keeps the pace constant. While clearly inspired by genre giants, Aniimo seems to carve its own path, with ideas that truly reshape how the game is played. It's ambitious, packed with personality, and full of bold intentions. Aniimo has everything it needs to become one of the most intriguing RPGs of the coming years. It blends action, freedom, and strategy in a new way, without leaning on nostalgia to succeed. If it delivers what it promises, it could easily become the new favorite for fans of creature collecting games who are looking for something more daring, creative, and unpredictable. The cube is science fiction pushed to insanity. The game places you inside a colossal living structure, a cube that constantly changes, altering gravity, terrain, and even the laws of physics. Nothing stays the same for long, and understanding the environment is as important as fighting. The story is shrouded in mystery, with answers promised among dimensions folding onto themselves. It's a journey as enigmatic as it is dangerous. Gameplay combines first-person action, exploration, and puzzle solving with RPG elements. Every wall, room, and creature can behave unpredictably, forcing constant adaptation. You can reshape the environment, weaponize the scenery, and even manipulate physics to your advantage. It's the type of game that makes you think while fighting, testing both reasoning and reflexes at once. The environment itself is the real enemy. Sometimes the floor becomes the ceiling. At other times, time itself seems to twist. That constant instability creates a tense and exciting rhythm. It's not just about winning, it's about understanding what's happening before the world shifts again. And with cooperative play, the chaos becomes even more unpredictable. The Cube promises to be one of the most unique experiences in the coming years, a game that transforms the setting itself into a living, deadly puzzle. It mixes action, exploration, and madness with rare balance. If it fulfills its vision, it could become one of the most creative titles of the new generation, a place where reality is just another trap. Valor Mortis is a game that spares no mercy. The story follows a cursed soldier who rises from the dead to fight in a Europe twisted by plague and dark magic. It's a grim, cruel tale heavy with symbolism where redemption and destruction walk side by side. The world reeks of death, and every step is a reminder that you no longer belong. It's about pain, power, and the price of immortality. Gameplay combines the precision of a Souls-like with the brutality of a first-person hack and slash. Every strike carries weight, and combat demands observation and patience. You must study your opponent, wait for the right moment, and react with precision. There's no room for error, and that's what makes it so intense. The parry system and vertical arena design make battles as technical as they are violent. The setting is suffocating, mixing Gothic architecture with Napoleonic decay. It feels like being trapped between the world of the living and the dead, fighting horrors that echo hell itself. Rain, the distant sounds of war, and the echoes of lost prayers build a heavy, melancholic mood. It's a world screaming pain at every corner. Valor Mortis is tragic poetry turned into combat, a game that promises to test not only reflexes but also emotional endurance. It isn't made for everyone. It's for those who endure suffering, learn, and come back stronger. A title that could become the new symbol of elegant brutality, where dying is just another step in purification. Silly Polly Beast is the kind of game that feels like complete madness, and that's exactly what makes it fascinating. The story follows Polly, a girl thrown into a hellish dimension called Ambers, where she decides to fight grotesque creatures using a skateboard and an improvised weapon. It's a mix of delirium, trauma, and defiance, told at breakneck pace and with no filters. Nothing makes sense at first glance, and that confusion is what keeps you hooked. The gameplay constantly shifts, alternating between 2D, top-down, and third-person segments. Each perspective changes how the game behaves, creating a constant sense of instability. Combat is fast, chaotic, and stylish, mixing gunfire, spells, and melee attacks. Everything feels as if the game itself were alive and collapsing. The aesthetic is a show of its own. Ambers is a carnival of glaring colors, distorted shapes, and absurd creatures. The rhythm is frantic, and the mix of action and visual insanity creates an atmosphere straight out of a psychedelic nightmare. But beneath the chaos lies a story about pain, self-discovery, and resilience. It's confusing, intense, and deeply human. Silly Polly Beast promises to be one of the most unique indies of 2025, a game that doesn't just want to entertain, it wants to leave you uncomfortable, curious, and stuck until you figure out what's happening. It's the kind of title that fuses art and madness in equal parts, and by the end, you won't know if you played a game or lived through a digital breakdown. Ananta is urban chaos turned into spectacle. The story unfolds in Nova Siri, a futuristic metropolis dominated by corporations and warriors with outrageous powers. The game blends action, humor, and over-the-top energy in just the right measure, as if an anime had come to life on a massive scale. Every street is a battlefield, every leap a choreography, and everything pulses with raw energy. It's insane, stylish, and full of attitude. The gameplay combines parkour, melee combat, and gadgets in fast, explosive battles. You can run along walls, pilot flying vehicles, and master abilities that completely change the rhythm of the fight. The progression system is straightforward and rewards creativity. It's the kind of game that makes you feel powerful, but also challenges you to keep control in the middle of chaos. What stands out most is the business model. Ananta will be free to play, but without loot boxes, pay to win, or absurd restrictions. All content can be unlocked by playing, with monetization limited to cosmetic items. It's a bold, refreshing choice, especially in a time where games are overloaded with microtransactions. The goal is to keep the focus entirely on fun and player freedom. Ananta has everything it needs to become the first true open-world anime game, a title that mixes explosive action, frantic rhythm, and a strong identity. If it delivers what the trailers show, it could redefine the genre with its blend of energy, freedom, and organized chaos. a game made for those who crave intensity and aren't afraid of excess. Spellcaster Chronicles is Quantic Dream's boldest gamble in years. After creating narrative-driven games focused on moral choices, the studio decided to dive headfirst into a competitive multiplayer filled with magic and chaos. Here, teams of 3 mages face off in floating arenas, using spells, creatures, and energy manipulation to dominate the field. It's a radical shift in style, and precisely because of that, so intriguing. The gameplay is fast, vertical, and packed with possibilities. You can raise barriers, summon monsters, or launch yourself across the skies with mobility spells. Combat is a balance between reflex and strategy, where understanding the environment matters as much as mastering your magic. Each mage has a unique style, and team synergy creates unpredictable battles. It's pure intensity, round after round. The arenas are vibrant and dynamic. With settings that shift mid-fight, everything feels designed to keep adrenaline high. The game aims to capture the competitive spirit of titles like Overwatch, but with a touch of fantasy and creativity. It's an ambitious attempt to reinvent magical multiplayer and give the genre a new identity. Spellcaster Chronicles remains a mystery, but the concept is promising. If Quantic Dream manages to balance skill and fun, a new competitive phenomenon could emerge. A game that fuses the wonder of magic with the speed of modern combat. An unpredictable spell, but one that might just work. Monster Hunter Stories 3 arrives to unite emotion and strategy in one of Capcom's most beloved universes. This time, 2 kingdoms are at war, and a mysterious force threatens to corrupt the bond between humans and monsters. It's a story of friendship, conflict, and survival, told with the same heart as the legends that made the franchise famous, but now redesigned for a brand new generation. The gameplay keeps the turn-based battle system, but with greater speed and impact. Every strike is a spectacle, with impressive animations and combos that demand reading your opponent. Progression is fluid and rewarding, while monster customization is deeper than ever. Combat blends tactics, emotion, and sheer adrenaline. The world is vast and lively, full of interconnected regions with thriving biomes and colossal creatures. Missions bring fresh challenges, and the sense of discovery never fades. Capcom also promises technical improvements, preserving the franchise's essence while expanding exploration possibilities. Everything is designed to balance emotion and depth in every encounter. Monster Hunter Stories 3 aims to be the perfect bridge between classic RPG and modern action. A game that doubles down on the heart of the franchise, the connection between hunter and creature, and takes it even further. It proves you don't need to hunt monsters to live a grand adventure. Sometimes it's about fighting alongside them. They Left Us Here is psychological horror in its purest form. You wake up alone in an abandoned space station, oxygen running low, with metallic sounds echoing through the corridors. The silence feels as heavy as the fear of something lurking just behind you. The game doesn't need jump scares to make you anxious. The unease comes from emptiness, solitude, and the sound of your own breathing inside the helmet. Gameplay is built entirely around exploration, tension, and reasoning. There's no combat, no weapons, only limited tools and your mind trying to make sense of what remains. The station is a labyrinth, and every section reveals fragments of the story. As you progress, the environment subtly shifts, as if the place itself were alive. The game plays with perception and paranoia, turning every step into a calculated risk. Sound design is the real enemy. Every distant noise feels like a threat, and the silence between them is even worse. Darkness, power failures, and distorted alarms build a suffocating atmosphere. This is horror that doesn't rely on monsters. It lives inside your head, reminding you that space is the loneliest place in the universe. They Left Us Here promises to be one of the most unsettling and intense survival horrors of 2025, a game built on vulnerability, immersion, and the player's own mind as the ultimate weapon. It doesn't aim to frighten you with screams, it wants to make you uneasy. And if it succeeds, it could be remembered as one of the most psychological horrors in recent memory. God Save Birmingham is historical survival at its cruelest. Set in 11th century England, devastated by plague, the dead rise while the living struggle to endure. You are just another soul trying to survive hunger, disease, and despair. Every day is an achievement, and the sense of danger never leaves. It's a brutal, realistic vision of the Middle Ages, where breathing itself is resistance. The gameplay blends simulation and survival with a touch of horror. There are no firearms, only improvisation and instinct. Every decision matters. A misstep, a loud noise, or a poorly treated wound could mean the end. Realistic physics affect everything, from weapon weight to balance. It forces you to think like someone desperate, not like a hero. The world is oppressive and unforgiving. Narrow streets, decaying corpses, and constant cold build an almost tangible setting. It feels like being truly trapped in a hopeless era, where every move must be calculated. Immersion comes from pain and tension, and the game makes sure you feel it every second. Save Birmingham promises to be one of the most intense and unique survival titles in years. A game that turns suffering into mechanics and confronts you with human despair. It doesn't want to entertain, it wants to test you. And if you endure, you'll leave it transformed, as if you had survived a real plague. Liminal Point is the kind of horror that doesn't need to scream to terrify you. The story follows a former musician who returns to an abandoned island in search of an old colleague, only to be trapped in a nightmare between reality and the impossible. Streets fold, time shatters, and nothing seems bound by logic. It's pure psychological horror, where fear comes from silence and the constant sense that something is wrong. The gameplay relies on an isometric camera and limited movement to heighten tension. You never see everything, and the game uses that against you at every turn. Exploration takes center stage, with puzzles that demand observation and quick decisions. The environment shifts as you progress, distorting space and creating moments of mental and visual unease. It doesn't need monsters to make you sweat, the void alone is enough. Atmosphere is its most striking feature. The island feels alive, breathing and reacting to your actions. Distant sounds, hesitant footsteps, and the wind cutting through silence create powerful immersion. There is no predictable rhythm. The game alternates calm and terror with mastery, keeping you perpetually vulnerable. Fear here is built patiently, not through cheap tricks. Liminal Point promises a return to the roots of psychological horror, a game for those who prefer tension over screams, unease over explosions. It aims to mess with your head, not your reflexes. One of the most promising titles in the genre, it may well redefine the very concept of uncomfortable in modern gaming. The Sinking City 2 dives headfirst into Lovecraftian horror. The city of Oran is rotting, sinking under the weight of cults and deformed creatures that defy all logic. The sequel shifts away from investigation to embrace third-person survival horror, packed with action and dread. It's a collapsing world, where every street hides secrets and every corner seems to be watching your steps. Gameplay blends free exploration with tactical combat and limited resources. You need to balance ammunition, sanity, and courage to move forward. The game doesn't hand you power, it gives you fear. Weapons feel heavy, enemies are unpredictable, and every encounter is a duel with the unknown. Choices still exist, but now the cost of failure is much higher. The vision of urban chaos is striking. Flooded streets, endless storms, and the sound of the ocean swallowing the world create a constant sense of suffocation. The tone is pure despair, and the game makes sure you're uncomfortable every second. Influences from titles like Resident Evil and Alan Wake are clear, but the style is wholly its own. The Sinking City 2 promises to be the studio's rebirth, and one of the heaviest horrors of the coming years, a game that embraces physical and psychological terror in equal measure. It wants you to feel the weight of insanity and the fear of not knowing what's real. If it delivers, it will be an inevitable and unforgettable descent into the abyss. Hela is a charming adventure that blends magic, friendship, and discovery in a world inspired by Norse mythology. You play as a young witch's apprentice on a journey to save your missing mentor, crossing lush forests, magical villages, and ruins filled with secrets. It feels like an old tale brought to life, where every detail has purpose and every step sparks curiosity. The world is vibrant, colorful, and full of mystery, with an atmosphere brimming with warmth and wonder. Gameplay focuses on exploration and cooperation, playable solo or with a friend. Solving puzzles, brewing potions, and using a frog-shaped backpack to glide and interact with the world are just some of the mechanics that pace the journey. The game doesn't pressure you, it invites you to observe, experiment, and enjoy the path. It's the type of design that turns even small tasks into magical moments, making every discovery feel meaningful. Hela's world is rich with symbolism and emotion. Nature seems to respond to your actions, and the design conveys a rare sense of comfort in modern games. Lighting effects, day-night cycles, and shifting weather create an ever-changing environment that reinforces the story's magic. There's something deeply human in this journey, a mix of longing, courage, and learning that resonates in every detail. Hela promises to be one of 2025's most welcoming and poetic adventures, a game that doesn't rely on frantic action or brutal challenges to captivate you. It bets on the power of calm and the strength of small discoveries, a reminder that not every hero carries a sword. Some carry only a curious heart and a talking backpack. GTA 6 is the most anticipated return in gaming. Years of waiting, rumors, and expectations culminate in a project set to redefine what an open world can be. Rockstar brings back the freedom, sharp humor, and social critique that made the franchise iconic, but now at an unprecedented scale. Every corner, neighborhood, and highway feels built to tell its own story, a living reflection of modern culture and its excesses. Gameplay has been completely redesigned with improved physics, advanced AI, and dynamic systems that make every action unpredictable. The city reacts to your choices, the environment evolves over time, and NPC behavior is eerily realistic. The focus is on total immersion. The world breathes, changes, and responds as if it were alive. The visuals are a spectacle on their own. Every detail, from a puddle on the street to the glow of buildings at sunset, is crafted with near-cinematic realism. The game wants you to feel inside the story, whether speeding away in a chase, exploring the outskirts, or just watching the city live without you. GTA 6 isn't just a sequel, it's an event, a technical and narrative landmark that aims to put Rockstar back at the very top. A game that doesn't just entertain, but provokes, makes you laugh, and questions the world we live in. All signs point to this being the watershed moment of the new generation, and possibly the most ambitious game ever made. Hunger is the kind of game that makes no concessions. An extraction shooter that blends horror and survival with suffocating realism, set in a Europe ravaged by a supernatural plague. Every mission is a gamble between safety and greed. Leaving early secures what you found, staying longer could bring treasures or death. It's a ruined world, filled with grotesque creatures and even worse people, where being alive at all is already too much luck. The gameplay merges tactical combat with constant tension. Every bullet counts, and the sound of a gunshot can attract something you're not ready to face. The extraction system is ruthless. There are no second chances if you fail. The game forces you to think, listen, and act carefully, making every run a balance between bravery and desperation. The rhythm is unpredictable, where even silence keeps you on edge. The setting is a fusion of war and nightmare. Villages shrouded in fog, corpses hanging from ruins, and echoes of voices calling for help create a nearly tangible despair. The game doesn't try to scare you with cheap tricks, but with the constant sense that the world itself wants to swallow you whole. The atmosphere is dense, cold, and oppressive, perfect for those seeking unrelenting tension. Hunger promises to be one of the most intense and brutal titles of the next years. A game designed to test your limits, where fear and strategy walk hand in hand. It doesn't just want you to survive, it wants you to feel the weight of every choice, the racing breath, and the terror of a wrong step. If it delivers, Hunger could redefine the extraction genre with pure psychological horror. Closing the list, it's clear the next years are going to be insane for anyone who loves single-player games. New worlds, wild ideas, and promises that could shape the next generation. So tell me in the comments, which of these titles are you most excited to play on release day? I'm curious to see if your hype matches mine. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, it helps the channel grow and keeps new content coming every day. And if you're not subscribed yet, take the chance to join the community. Thanks for watching, take care, enjoy your gameplay, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.